The Old Lady in the House. At the end of a narrow road in a quiet town in the United States stood a very old wooden house. The paint on its walls had faded long ago. The windows were dusty, and the porch creaked whenever the wind blew. Tall, dry trees surrounded the house, and thick fog often covered the ground at night. People in the town avoided that place. They said an old lady lived there alone. Her name was Mrs. Eleanor White. Nobody knew exactly how old she was. Some said she was 90 years old, while others believed she was even older. The strange thing was that no one had seen her leave the house for many years. Yet every night, a dim yellow light appeared in the upstairs window. Children walking home sometimes claimed they saw a thin figure standing behind the curtain, watching the road, and sometimes they heard whispering. One evening, a young traveler named Daniel arrived in the town. His car had broken down near the forest road, and the nearest house he could see through the fog was the old wooden one. Daniel knocked on the door. The door slowly creaked open by itself. "Hello?" he called. No answer. The inside of the house smelled old and dusty. The wooden floor made cracking sounds with every step he took. The furniture looked like it hadn't been moved in decades. Then suddenly a soft voice spoke behind him. "Are you lost?" Daniel quickly turned around. Standing in the hallway was a very thin old woman wearing a long gray dress. Her white hair hung loosely around her shoulders. Her pale eyes looked directly at him. "I'm sorry," Daniel said nervously. "My car broke down. I just need to use a phone." The old lady stared at him for a long moment. "You can stay here tonight," she said slowly. Something about her voice made Daniel feel uneasy. It sounded distant, almost hollow. But the road outside was dark and empty, so he accepted. The house was strangely quiet. Mrs. White showed him a small room upstairs. The bed looked old, but it was clean. "You must not go to the basement," she said suddenly before leaving the room. Daniel frowned. "Why?" The old woman smiled slightly. "Because some doors are meant to stay closed." Then she walked away down the dark hallway. Midnight came. Daniel couldn't sleep. The house felt strange. The air was cold, even though all the windows were closed. Then he heard something. Footsteps. Slow, dragging footsteps moving across the floor downstairs. Daniel sat up in bed. He looked at the hallway outside his door. It was dark. The footsteps continued. Then he heard whispering, soft voices, many voices. Curiosity slowly replaced his fear. Daniel quietly stepped out of the room and walked down the stairs. The whispering grew louder near the end of the hallway. And there it was, the basement door. It was slightly open. A cold wind seemed to flow from the darkness below. Daniel remembered the old woman's warning, but something pulled him closer. Slowly, he pushed the door open and walked down the stairs. The basement was dark and damp. His phone flashlight lit the room. Old boxes, broken furniture, cobwebs. Then he saw something strange on the wall. Newspaper clippings, hundreds of them, all about missing people. Daniel stepped closer. The dates were from many years ago. Some were from 10 years ago, some 20. Then he noticed something even more terrifying. Every article mentioned the same place, this house. Suddenly, the basement door slammed shut above him. Daniel jumped. The whispering returned, but this time it was louder, right behind him. He slowly turned around. Standing at the bottom of the stairs was Mrs. Eleanor White, but she looked different. Her face was pale, almost gray. Her eyes were empty black holes, and her feet, they weren't touching the ground. Daniel's heart nearly stopped. "You should not have come down here," she whispered. Her voice now sounded like many voices speaking at once. Daniel tried to run for the stairs, but the door would not open. Behind him, the ghostly old lady slowly floated closer. "You see," she said softly, "this house keeps secrets." Daniel noticed something on the floor. Bones. Human bones. Dozens of them. The missing people. The house was their grave. Mrs. White smiled with cracked lips. "I died in this house a very long time ago," she whispered. "But the house did not let me leave." The lights flickered. The walls seemed to breathe. This house feeds on souls. The ghost lifted her hand. The basement door locked itself with a loud click. Daniel screamed and pounded on the door, but no one could hear him. The fog outside swallowed the sound, and in the quiet town, the old house at the end of the road once again glowed with a dim yellow light in the upstairs window, watching, waiting for the next visitor.